Hello, lovies. I hope that you're all doing as well as you can be doing at this time. I hope that you're taking care of yourself and being good to yourselves. So I want to talk about God and my relationship with God in 2020 because 2020 has been a year, and if you are spiritual in any way, then it has been a testing year, right? And a trying one, but also one that I think has produced a lot of fruit in the spirit. So for me, I started out this year trying to listen to God and trying to do what God asked me to do. I had started this year being in my master's program, trying to get into a PhD program and listen to God and what He said about that process. And also working on a play which was about this girl and her relationship with Jesus, and they go to this other world essentially, and like they fall in love, and it's about her growing as a person. It, if I do say so myself, it was dope. Well, thank you, Jesus. Um, and so yeah, like I was just super infused in that life and trying to do what God asked me to do. And then Corona happened. And when you're trying to do what God asks you to do, and God mollywops your whole life, you're like, huh, we didn't talk about this. You ain't show me this in my meditation. And I was trying to do my college visits for my PhD programs and everything. So I got accepted. First off, let me rewind. Got accepted, felt some type of way. Because I was like, I thought that this would revitalize everything. I thought that this was going to give me all kinds of light and joy and jolliness and honestly worth and value. And it didn't, because I had moved to a place in life where God had made it very clear that I wasn't going to be able to feed myself the same way. I wasn't going to be able to just feed myself on accomplishments. I was going to have to feed myself on who God says that I am as a person, as a masterpiece, as, the head and not the tail, above and not beneath, the lender and not the borrower, more than a conqueror, all the stuff, all the stuff that God says that you are. I was going to have to be those things and feel those things regardless of what my accomplishments in life looks like. And that was a tough pill to swallow, because my spirit learned the lesson long before my mind did, and I'm still working on it. And so, when I got accepted to everywhere, and then I was trying to figure out, okay, let me go on my college visit so I can see where I want to go, and then Corona happened and all those things got canceled. I was like, God, I don't know what you're doing, and I don't know what you want me to do. And that was a hard thing, because I have a tough time with vision. People in Christianity talk about vision a lot. And I think I'm the kind of person, my pastor says, God will either show you the mountaintop or he'll show you like the path. God shows me, I think, like the mountaintop. Like he does not show me how I'm supposed to get to things. He just kind of shows me, or he'll show me like this next little step, but he won't show me what I'm aiming at. And I never get like a full vision for the most part. So I'm always just kind of being like, I hope that I'm doing what you're asking me to do. I hope this is right. So I was having a hard time with the idea that I would not be able to go into the space of these universities. So that got canceled. And at first in the, quarantine, I was kind of like, okay, cool. I got time. I have space. There's nowhere I'm supposed to be. There's nothing I'm supposed to be doing. There's time for me to just sit and be with God. And that was awesome. I was excited about it. Then God came to test me. I was looking for an apartment because at this point I thought I was still going to be moving to Louisiana to go to school. I was looking for an apartment, and God had told me, don't worry about it. You take your break. And when I call you off of your break, I'll find you a place to live. I said, okay, yes, sir. Took my break, came back, found a place to live. I was like, yes, yes, found one, found it fast, found it in like one day. And then a little while later, God was like, yeah, I don't want you to go. I want you to stay here with your family, and I want you to get your financial life together. I want you to save money. I want you to work on student debt. I want you to do like businesses and craft and all this other stuff, which I can talk about more later. But that's what I want you to do. I want you to be here. I know that stationary is the most difficult thing for you. And that's what I want you to do is be stationary. And I was like, oh, but I found this apartment. Like I was excited about this apartment. And now you're taking it, right? And I had already seen sermons. And it's the funny thing because sometimes you don't know what you're going to need until you need it. And it's already in you by the grace of God, right? So I had seen sermons and not really paid attention to the part where Pastor Mike had said, God will give you things. And sometimes he'll ask for them back to see if you really know that it was his to begin with. It was him who gave it to you. And so I had to give the apartment back. I had to be like, okay, no, that's not what I'm going to do. I'm not going to do it. And they were so difficult about it. And it was a terrible experience. It still is. They wanted me to pay $10,000 for a place that I haven't touched or breathed in or looked at or anything like that. And they like just sent me to collect. Like God is still working in that situation to show me that he can do more if I do less, and that if I don't sit there and worry about something. Because sometimes I think I feign for quick resolution. I'm like, okay, God, fix this thing, and then I want to wake up tomorrow and it be fixed. And I have a hard time with the waking up 3 months from now and it's still not fixed. So we're working at that. So that was a test. I also was struggling with the collapsing of my world, right? The world had gotten so small because I was confined to my space. And not only being confined to my space, but also this year was a year where we truly saw so much of the darkness of the world be revealed. So much unkindness, especially towards Black and brown bodies. So much just pain and anger and disgusting behavior. And it was a year where I struggled. I think it's my second year. This is my second year where I've had to deal with like a severe kind of depression. This is my second year being like, I don't know. This whole living thing looks kind of ghetto. Like this isn't cute. Sometimes I feel that way. Where I'm like, God, I don't understand. Because I kind of thought it was the end of times. Like when the corona first started, I was like, okay, God, it's apocalypse time. Take me and mine. We ready. Let's go home. Right. And then we just kept being here. And I was like, I don't understand the plan. I don't know what we're doing. So that was a lot. That was a lot of time and growing out of an immature religious space, because I had this idea that God can only see a certain version of your Christian walk, right? He can only see the grateful, wanting to be better, wanting to learn, loving version. And my pastor had said many times, God can handle your anger. He can handle your frustration. He can handle your disappointment. God wants you real. He can't bless who you pretend to be. And so this was the first year that I was trying to just be like, you know what? I don't like you. I don't like what you're doing. You're on my nerves right now, but I'm going to talk to you tomorrow. And that was a beautiful but scary place to be. It's scary to tell God, you're pissing me off right now. And not feel like, like the lightning's going to come and that our relationship is going to be compromised. But it's a maturity. It's a spiritual maturity to say, I don't understand what's happening. I don't like what's happening, but I love you and I'm trusting that you love me as well. It's also a spiritual maturity to deal with doubt, right? I've come to the agreement with God that I'm going to doubt. I'm going to have moments where I'm like, are you even there? Are you even real? All this time, all this energy, all this fight that I'm putting into our relationship, like, are you going to be there? And a couple of years ago, I came to the concession that so long as it serves me and helps me to serve others, then it doesn't matter really. if God is real, right? Like God helps me in my relationship with Jesus, helps me move through the world better, and it helps me deal with the world better and be kinder to others and just work. It doesn't make things easier, right? So another thing is I have friends who aren't Christians. And a lot of times I'm like, oh, I don't know about like saying all the stuff that I'm thinking or feeling because I don't want to give God a bad rap. And you can't really give God a bad rep except if you're not trying to be a loving individual, right? But not dealing with your stuff, right? Because being a Christian doesn't necessarily make life easier, it just makes life different. And in fact, it can make life harder because when, like a non Christian, when you're upset, or you're confused or you're scared, you just need to figure out what you feel, what's right for you. I have to figure out what's right for me, what I feel, and what I'm also getting spiritually and ethereally. And I have to receive that, move in that, deal with the conflict if that thing doesn't align with what I want, and trust something outside of myself, right? So it this next step of spiritual maturity, it's tough. It's a tough thing. It's tough to say, I'm not going to worry about this thing. I'm going to surrender. I'm going to be willing. I'm going to be submitted to the mission that you have over my life. And in some ways, it's going to require me to sacrifice. In some ways, it's going to require me not to understand, not to be in control. I'm a huge person for that. And that's what this year was, I think, for a lot of people, was seeing how not in control you are. So yeah. And then most recently, we had a loss in our family. One of our dogs has passed on to heaven. And it was so close to the end of the year. It was a couple days before Christmas. And I was just like, God, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I'm strong enough for this one. Because my family structure was the last, like, that was the leg of peace and hope and life and joy that I was resting upon and built upon. And so for that to get compromised in a real and significant way was tough. It was very, very tough. It's still very tough. And I'm in a place with my relationship with God where there's so much transparency and there's so much trust. Like, I know for a fact that no matter what, as mad as I am, as confused as hurt, we gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about it. And so if I'm having a breakdown and I call Jesus a son of a bitch, sorry if that challenges your religiousness and you want to turn this video off, but that's what I'm gonna do. And my Bible and my sermons and my spirit tell me that God's love for me is not compromised by anything, that it doesn't make me go down in worth or value or purpose. It just is what it is. And I think that that's a scary and beautiful thing. It is scary to believe that no matter what, we're going to ride until the wheels fall off. Because that means no matter what, right? Like, he can do anything and I'm still going to be here. So that's scary, but also it's a beautiful place to be, to know that I could miss sermons. I could not pick up my Bible this year. I could not meditate. I could not, like, those things. I could not give. I could not tithe. Like, I could not do these things. And the love is still present. So then it's just about, okay, what are you asking? How does it serve me? How does it help me serve others? And I think that that's a really fantastic place to be. So I'm going to tell you some of the sermons that have really spoken to me this year. And I will place all of these, all of these in the playlist. There's like, I think, a church playlist or something that I have on my channel, and so I'll place them there. Um, so one of the sermons is called "Trusting God When He Says No." That one, in my season of grief about my loss, so impactful. Bishop T.D. Jakes just drives home the point that a lot of churches teach you what to do when God says yes, and how to celebrate and how to have faith. But what do you do when God says no? Or take something? And that was really big. Stephen Furtick, How to Remain Open to Growth. His thing about acceptance in there, and that's only 6 minutes and 29 seconds, so you could knock that out, and it's great. A lot of these are gonna be TD Jakes. That's where I've been lately. Nothing that you've been through has been wasted. Huge thing for me, because a lot of life feels really senseless right now. So feeling the purpose behind it is super helpful. TD Jakes, I can do it, and I know I've got what it takes. And TD Jakes, Believe. All kind of similar on the sense that it doesn't matter if you believe in God. If you don't believe in yourself, then He can't do what He needs to do for you. Let me just make sure. Oh, also, Pastor Michael Todd, he did the FU sermon series, Forgiveness University. Some of those were so strong. Specifically for me, the Forgive You one, because again, if you don't deal with your stuff with yourself, then it doesn't matter what you do with God. Framing forgiveness, he has this really cool chart about the different kinds of like infractions that can be done against you and the way that you have to go about doing the forgiveness work for them. Fathers unaware. Lots of us got daddy issues, and so that's a good way to see that your relationship with your father often kind of mimics how you try to act your relationship with God. So yeah, super solid sermons. I'm not gonna tag the FU sermon series. That's just Transformation Church of Pastor Michael Todd. You can check those out. But the other ones I mentioned, I will get those up for you guys. Be good, lovies.